The year is 37 AD. A young man steps onto the throne of the most powerful empire on earth. He is 24 years old. The Roman crowd greeting him is so ecstatic they sacrifice 160,000 animals in a single month of celebration. A number so staggering the priests run out of altars to bleed them on. History remembers him as a monster, a madman, a god complex wrapped in purple silk. But the crowd throwing garlands at his feet that first month had buried the previous emperor without mourning. The senators who voted him every honor had spent 2 decades flinching at footsteps outside their doors. The soldiers who cheered had watched colleagues executed on whispered accusations for 23 years. But what if the monster was partly made before he ever touched the throne? Roman soldiers nicknamed the boy Caligula, meaning little boot, after the miniature military sandals his mother dressed him in. The name was affection. The camp was not. Gaius Julius Caesar Germanicus spent his earliest years inside the brutal machinery of Rome's Rhine legions, watching men bleed and die before he could properly read. The boots the soldiers found charming on a toddler were modeled on the ones they wore into combat. The legionnaires passed the child between them at mealtimes. They carved him wooden swords. They taught him camp songs that were not written for children. When his father Germanicus died, under circumstances Rome's physicians described only as a sudden illness, the soldiers' rations went untouched for 3 days. The commissary records show the surplus. The official dispatches do not mention the grief. That name stuck, and the boy Rome adored in those first months looked nothing like what came after. Rome sacrificed 160,000 animals in the first month of Caligula's reign. The temples could not process them fast enough. Rome had endured Tiberius for 23 years. Treason trials, paranoia, public executions. Caligula canceled those trials the moment he took the throne, burning Tiberius's secret lists of enemies before the Senate could be weaponized again. He retrieved senators exiled to wind-swept islands and brought them back with public ceremony. He cracked open the Treasury, abolished certain taxes, staged free gladiatorial spectacles, and distributed cash gifts with an openness that felt almost reckless after decades of imperial hoarding. He visited sick soldiers in their barracks and sat at their bedsides. No previous emperor had bothered. The performance was flawless. Within 6 months, the Senate had voted him powers that Augustus had spent decades accumulating. All of it handed over in a single season. Imagine inheriting that machine. Built by Augustus, sharpened by Tiberius, oiled by 23 years of obedience, and being told at 24 that it answers to you alone. 6 months into his reign, Caligula collapsed with a fever so severe, Roman physicians declared him already dead. Temples filled with citizens making blood offerings, some reportedly volunteering to die in his place. A freedman named Afranius Potitus publicly swore his own life to the gods in exchange for the emperor's recovery. The palace's official bulletins described the emperor's condition as a temporary indisposition. Outside, citizens slept on temple steps. The fever broke after roughly a month. Caligula walked out of his sick room and into an empire that had just spent weeks in collective hysteria on his behalf. The man who entered that sick room did not come back out. What followed was not gratitude. Afranius was reportedly forced to honor his oath, thrown into the sea. Others who had made similar vows found Caligula tracking their words with the precision of a debt collector. No physician's record survives. No official diagnosis was committed to the archive. Whatever happened in that room, the palace chose not to document it. Something changed. The sources disagree on what: encephalitis, a nervous breakdown, the pressure of inheriting an empire at 24. They do not disagree on the result. The young emperor who had entered that room, cautious, publicly modest, praised by senators as a welcome relief from Tiberius, was gone. Rome would spend the next 3 years paying for whoever replaced him. Rome's treasury held enough silver to fund the legions for a generation. Caligula drained it in under 3 years. Banquets where guests ate bread laced with gold dust, pearls dissolved in vinegar simply to drink them. The treasury reports stopped. No senator asked why, and yet this same emperor, the one dissolving pearls for sport, would dive beneath his bed at the first crack of lightning, clutching blankets, whispering prayers to Jupiter while his palace staff watched in silence. He spent entire storm seasons hiding underground. The kitchen prepared meals for the chambers without being asked. Every new province conquered, every senator broken, every godlike decree issued. None of it quieted the sound above his ceiling. In 39 AD, Caligula ordered enough boats lashed side by side across the Bay of Baiae to form a road stretching over 2 miles of open sea. Engineers estimate this required between 800 and 1,000 vessels, merchant ships, fishing boats, pleasure barges, stripped from harbors across the Campanian coast. Suetonius records that Caligula rode across it in full military regalia, wearing the breastplate of Alexander the Great, allegedly removed from the Macedonian king's tomb. The spectacle lasted 2 days. Commandeering 1,000 vessels disrupted grain shipments and fishing economies across the region for weeks. The boats came back damaged or not at all. Roman legions crossed deserts, mountains, and frozen rivers without hesitation. But when Caligula ordered his soldiers to stab the waves of the English Channel with their swords, the men obeyed in silence. The campaign had begun with genuine military ambition. 2 legions marched north through Gaul toward the British coast, a real invasion force with supply lines and siege equipment. Then, at the water's edge, the order changed. Think about that. 2 full legions standing in the surf, driving their swords into salt water. Not one soldier broke ranks. Caligula's engineers built 2 floating palaces on Lake Nemi, each longer than a modern football field, fitted with marble floors, heated baths, and bronze plumbing systems Rome would not surpass for centuries. Historians dismissed the accounts as myth until 1932, when Mussolini drained the lake and the hulls emerged from the silt, their bronze fittings still intact. Suetonius recorded that Caligula planned to make Incitatus, his favorite horse, a consul of Rome. Most historians repeat that as fact. Suetonius was writing nearly a century after Caligula's death, drawing on hostile sources eager to paint the emperor as a monster. The consulship story may have been satire, Caligula mocking the Senate by suggesting even a horse could do their job better. The appointment was never made. Caligula forced senior senators to run beside his litter in their togas for miles. One consul, a man who had commanded legions, reportedly collapsed in the street and was simply stepped over. Caligula never slowed. The performance had rules. You applauded when Caligula entered. You laughed when he made a joke at your colleague's expense. You sat still when he turned his gaze across the chamber, because a senator who shifted in his seat at the wrong moment had once been asked publicly whether he was uncomfortable. And the question itself was the threat. Executions rarely required a stated charge. The treason laws made the charge whatever the emperor said it was. One senator sold his estates within the week and retired to his country villa. Caligula claimed the villa as an imperial residence anyway. The Senate recorded the confiscations. The Senate did not record the deaths. Suetonius, Cassius Dio, Seneca all record the same pattern. Men summoned to dine beside the emperor, laughing at his jokes, arrested before dawn. Seneca recorded one senator who spent an entire evening toasting Caligula's divine genius, only to be escorted out by guards before his wine cup had cooled. The charge was never specified. Caligula understood something the rack and the flame did not. Uncertainty is a more precise instrument than pain. A man who knows his punishment can prepare for it. A man who can't tell a safe dinner from his last one carries the torture home with him. But every account of those dinners passed through hands that wanted the monster to look as monstrous as possible. Most of what survives about Caligula was written by men who served the emperors who replaced him. The writers were not historians. They were the winners. Suetonius composed his account roughly 80 years after the assassination, drawing on senatorial sources, the same class Caligula had humiliated, exiled, and executed. Cassius Dio wrote nearly 2 centuries removed. 80 years between the blood on the corridor floor and the first complete account. 2 centuries before the second. Picture it. Every source you have ever read about Caligula was written by a man who owed his career to the dynasty that replaced him. The monster in the record is real. The sources exaggerated it, but something had genuinely broken in that sick room, and what came after was bad enough without the embellishment. Propaganda, though, only takes a monster so far before someone decides to end him in person. 4 men ended Caligula's reign in under 3 minutes, on a corridor so narrow 2 soldiers could not stand shoulder to shoulder. Cassius Chaerea struck first, a tribune Caligula had mocked for years over his soft voice, forcing him to request the daily watchword on his knees, while the court laughed. The remaining 3 guards sealed the corridor exits before the emperor's screams reached the Palatine above. Suetonius records 30 wounds in total. The guards continued long after death was certain, not from military necessity, but from something older and more personal. Chaerea reportedly delivered the final blow himself, the same man who had knelt on cold stone for years while the court laughed. They chose January 24th, 41 AD, during the Palatine Games. The crowd noise above would muffle whatever sounds escaped the corridor below. 4 men with personal grievances ended a reign. The system that granted it survived them completely. Rome survived Caligula. The office of emperor did not just survive. It grew stronger after his death, absorbing his worst precedents into its legal architecture. Claudius inherited a throne that already assumed the right to execute senators without trial, confiscate estates by imperial decree, and treat the treasury as a private account. He did not dismantle those mechanisms. He used them. So did Nero. So did Domitian. No trial was ever held for the crimes of the reign. No official record was amended. No mechanism was built to prevent the next one. The throne didn't need Caligula. It just needed a body in the chair. The next emperor sat down, and the machine kept running.